Hello and welcome to the next episode of our build along series, The Keeper's Lair. We're going to build an entire game from start to finish with no steps skipped. And this is going to be the last level that I do. It won't be the last episode. There'll be one more episode after this one where we'll go through and just polish things up. I know that there might be some things that could be better, and so we'll go through and just polish it up level by level and make sure everything's good. We'll test things and then that'll be the end of the series. But for now, let's talk about the last level because this is going to be the finale level for us. Now, if you're building this game yourself or some version thereof, by all means, feel free to keep building on. I think after this episode, you'll have a real good handle on what to do and how to do it. And I'm really kind of looking forward to seeing what you might come up with. So be sure to let me know if you do that. But here is the layout for our last level. It's a 20 by 20. And this one's a lot more challenging than all the other mazes so far, or at least I think so. I really kind of went all out to try to confuse the player. And we'll get into what I've done here to try to confuse them in a minute. But ultimately, the idea is that when the player makes their way to the end of the level, there's going to be like one last confrontation, I guess, if you call it that, with the keeper, and then they'll be able to escape and they'll win the game. So they're going to start right here. Let's just zoom on in here. So here's where they're going to start. And right away, the first thing that I did, I wanted to make sure that the player didn't have this staircase as a point of reference, because in all the other episodes, they could always kind of look back down the staircase. They can't go there, but they can see. So this time I wanted to kind of close it off. And the reason I did that is because if the player can go left or right from this point, right? So if they happen to go left, it's nothing but dead ends. So there's a dead end there, the dead end here, and then there's a dead end all the way back here. So if they explore that left path, they're going to get awfully disoriented. And when they come back around, this is going to be closed. They're not going to have that staircase to rely on. And this right here is a loop that just goes around, unless they take that left right here. So there's really only one path to go forward. If they take a right, then they're more likely to not be tripped up by this, but that's 50-50, so we'll see how it goes. And then they'll make their way through here. There's some more dead ends right there. And here we begin our first puzzle trap of this level. And you'll notice right away probably that I've got two trigger zones. And the reason that is the trigger zones are along the path that the player must follow in order to get to this room. But I needed two because there are 20 panels like this that are using the slider behavior. And you can only logic link 10 to a given trigger or zone. So I did the first 10 to this one and the next 10 to this one, and it just happened to be 20, so that worked out well. If I had more, then I would just put another trigger zone somewhere in there in that same path, and that would have done the job. Now, all these panels are going to be sliding in various directions and at various speeds. We've seen that before in a previous level, so as the players, they're not going to be they're going to be new to this. It is a little bit more challenging, however, because when they come here, remember that there's a ceiling and it is pitch black. They've just got their flashlight, so they can't see nearly as much as I can see right now. And they're not going to be able to see the exit to this room. But when they come in here, they might be thinking, this is just a trap to get that battery. There's no need for a battery right now, and then we'll move on. If they do that, they're going to get lost in this maze because this is the true path. They have to get across this. So then they have a decision to make. They can take a slightly easier path by going just one across to this safe zone, or they can try to chance two panels to get to the battery. Or if they went here, they might still be eyeballing that battery. This panel right here is moving up and down rather than side to side like all the other panels. So it's a little trickier to time. But they could go diagonally across and get this battery. And now again, they have a decision to make. At this point, they can pretty much see that there's, more to the maze over here. They could probably see it from this angle as well, right? So they know that this is the exit to the maze. But they will need to decide if they go this route, they'll need to decide, do I go back or do I try to chance it across these two panels here? If they go back, then they have these two panels here. So it's, from at that point, they've to just decide which direction they're going to take. This is a little bit more of a straight run than that one. So it's up to them. Then they will continue on through the maze. There's a number of other dead ends right through here. And then they're going to come across their first timed switch puzzle. So we haven't actually done this mechanic before, and usually I wouldn't want to introduce a new mechanic at the last level, but this is a fairly simple one. They're going to come in here. Now, if they went straight on, they're going to come across this gate. So they know they have to get through here. But this is locked and they can't get through. So they'll search around until they find this button. This button has a time switch for 4 seconds. So what happens is they click the button, the door opens, they hear that. They race through here and they've got 4 seconds to get through that door. Otherwise it's going to close and they'll have to do it again. It can be done just through walking speed. So if they run, if they sprint, they'll be fine. But even if they just walk, they can just make that. So it's not too challenging for their first time switch puzzle. Okay. And then round and round we go through the maze, twists and turns, get them nice and disoriented until they reach right here. This is the next spot. So at this spot, they can go left, they can go right. If they go left, they're going to wind around all the way around here, all the way around until they reach this room here. Now this room represents a optional puzzle. So they could completely ignore this, but if they're in this room, this perspective, they're going to see that battery right away, right? And by this point, they might actually need a battery. And if they look in here, they'll see there's just no way to get in there unless they click these buttons. Now these buttons need to be clicked in the correct order. And if they do that, then this panel will open, and so will that one at the same time. And they'll be able to just sneak around to get that battery and be on their way. Or they could skip this altogether. Maybe they don't want the battery. Maybe they don't have time for the battery. So up to them. Then they're going to go down this way. There's another dead end. Lots of dead ends over here. A lot of twists and turns. And another timed switch. So once again, it's opening a door. So they've seen this before. This time they only have 3 seconds. So it is a little bit tighter, a little bit harder to do, but it can be done. So they'll know that and they'll be able to get around and into this. And then we have this corridor here, which is arrow traps. So in the previous episode, we had an arrow trap that was coming straight on towards the player, and there were little ditch outs that they could duck into to avoid the damage. In this case, there's 3 arrows, and they're just going at different intervals, and the player has to dodge in between them to be able to get through without injury. Now, in the next episode, we're going to go through all the different levels and we're going to tidy things up. There's some aesthetic things I want to fix. There's some continuity issues that I want to address. And then there's also, earlier, I may have put in health items. I want to take those out because I think instead it would be better if you get injured, you just carry that injury throughout the entire game. So essentially there's 2 ways you could die. You could fall into a pit and that's instant death, or you could get injured such that your life reaches 0 and then you die. And it's game over at that point. So player gets through here successfully, hopefully, and they're greeted with a dead end. But if they look closely, they'll notice that these boxes can be moved, because I have a carry object behavior running in this level, just like we've done before. So they know that objects can be picked up and moved around. It's the first time they've encountered these big boxes that they can move around. They're a little clunkier, a little harder than a brick because they're big, but they can do that. And if they do that, then they will find this switch tucked away in the back. And that switch is going to do a couple things. It's going to open this door, which is a regular sliding door. And it's going to trigger this, a timed event, which is a 2-second delay. So it's enough for the door to open fully, and then these panels slide out. In fact, I want to show you that. So watch this. If I press this button, the door opens, and then these slide away to reveal a little hidden staircase. And so now we've actually reached the real keeper's lair, right? Little secret compartment here. And so we go down, and the reason that we went down a level will become clear in a moment. This was more of a mechanical reason than anything else. It wasn't initially my idea to do that, but long story short, we ended up doing that. I'll show you why here in a minute. So we have our door. Now this door is not locked. We don't need a key for it or anything like that. It's unlocked. They can just walk right in, and it acts sort of as a trigger. So this door is logic linked to the elevator door, and he's also logic linked to the keeper, which is doesn't start active, right? So the door activates the keeper, opens the door. The keeper is logic linked to a flag inside the elevator. So as soon as the player comes in, they're going to be frozen. So there's a freeze zone right here. The doors would be open. They'll get a glimpse of them through their flashlight going into the elevator, and the elevator doors closing. And I'll show you all this here in a moment. And then what'll happen is 3 seconds later, they're free again. They can move, but water has begun rising in the room. So they only have a short period of time to figure out what to do next. So if they search around, they'll see that there is a pipe over here with a wheel missing. And so if they are smart, they'll see that these boxes can be moved again. And behind all of these boxes, let me just see if I can move out a couple of these boxes real quick. I'll use, there we go. So there is a valve wheel. So they can pick that up, they can use it here, and that'll make the water recede. There's also scratched onto the wall the number 240. That is the code for the elevator. So the elevator requires a code or code switch behavior here. They type in 240, the door will open, and they'll be able to go inside, and they can just use this panel to close it, and then that'll activate the what is the televator basically, which we've covered in a previous video. And that will, once it reaches the end of its sequence, it'll teleport the player out to a very similar place. So from their perspective, they won't know anything happened. And then in here is the wind zone. So that's how they escape the maze. Let me show you that. Now that I've talked through all that, let me just show you. We'll skip past this part, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so we've come through the little hidden panels there, and we open the door, and we can see the keeper making his escape through the elevator. And so he laughs at us, and we're frozen for a second. There's a freeze zone there, so we really can't move until he's escaped. And now we're in here. Now, of course, these boxes have been moved away so that we don't have to mess with that. But watch this. The water begins to raise in the level. So now we've got to hurry or we're going to drown. We're moving boxes left and right, and we can see the 240 scratched on the wall. Pick up that little valve wheel, put on over here, use that. That causes the water to recede. Now we can punch in our code. 2, 0. That opens our elevator. And we can press E on the switch to activate this. go, so we can see the wall moving. There we go. So we're now in the wind zone. So if this were a standalone, we would have reached the end level screen. So that will be the end of the level. So a lot to do in this level if you're following along, but hopefully all of that made sense to you. If you have any questions, by all means, be sure to leave those in the comments. I'll happy to address those. I'll be asking for volunteers soon for anybody that would like to play test this and give me notes back. I can, export a standalone, send that off to you, or give you a link to it to download it and play it yourself. And you can just, get back to me with any notes that you might have. We'll get into that after we've tidied things up in the next episode. But that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed the video or if you learned anything new, please be sure to click the like button down below. If you're new here, weird place to start. Hopefully you've seen that there's a number of episodes before this. I would encourage you to go back and watch those, but be sure to subscribe so that you'll get the benefit of all the other videos that we have available in our library. And then lastly, if you'd like a notification for when new videos are posted, just click the bell icon and that'll let you know when a new video is ready. But that's it. Thanks so much for watching all the way through. I hope you guys are enjoying the series, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.